I mean, I've had some pretty horrible bosses. Sounds like a
Hmm.
movie, right? There's a book, I think, Horrible
Right,
Bosses,
right, right, right,
right? But this was on a different level. This was like dancing with the devil, right? Because
right,
the devil wears Prada.
Devil
right,
Wears Prada. You just, yeah, exactly.
right,
Yeah, I
right,
mean, this was, I mean, she was a million times worse than Glenn Close's character.
right.
And so I was like, okay, this is on a whole nother level
Hmm.
where I was seeing, grown men cry.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, so this is like, what on earth to do
What?
about
Hold
this,
on. I
right?
got it. But I got it. So hold on. What jobs are you taking, my sister?
Man.
We'll discuss race and how it plays a factor and how we didn't even talk about this topic because we were afraid.
A Black Executive Perspective.
BEP is on fire. Our audience is growing fast and the impact is real. Now is the time for your brand to grow with us and reach a highly engaged, influential community with real spending power. Don't miss this moment. Email us today at media@TonyTidbit.com. Let's make it happen and put you and your brand in front of the people that matter. We are coming to you live from the BEP studio for another thought-provoking episode of a Black Executive Perspective podcast, a safe space where we discuss all matters regarding race, culture, and those uncomfortable topics people tend to avoid. I'm your host, Tony Tidbit.
And I'm your co-host, Chris P. Reed. Before we get started, we always like to remind our guests and our audience to check out our partners at Code M Magazine. Code M Magazine, whose mission is saving the Black family by first saving the Black man. Check them out at CodeMMagazines2Ms.com.
Definitely check them out. And today we'd like you to check this out. Today we sit down with Sheryl Raphael Whitaker, founder and CEO of Eden Anthony Elite Talent Solutions and author of It Starts With Joy, The Inner Shift That Changes Everything. We'll talk about what it really costs to lead while being Black, the weight of perfection, the unseen emotional labor, and the toll leadership can take on both mind and body. Cheryl will share how one toxic leader became the catalyst for her transformation and why joy isn't just an emotion, it's a leadership strategy. Together, we'll explore how to move from survival mode to soul work. Listen when the body speaks and redefine strength through wholeness, not hardness. This conversation is about reclaiming joy, not as a reward, but as the way we lead.
Before we get deep into this, and I'm promising you it's going to be deep, let me give you a little bit of background, right? Sheryl Raphael Whitaker, MBA, is a leadership strategist, executive coach, and author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, It Starts With Joy, The Inner Shift That Changes Everything. As a founder and CEO of Eden Anthony LLC, she helps leaders move from overload to alignment through her joy shift and joy audit frameworks. A former enterprise learning leader at USAA, Cheryl has guided teams of over 37,000 employees and now champions authentic, joy-centered leadership. Her mission was born from a childhood moment that taught her how easily dignity can be diminished and why leading with joy helps us whole, keeps us whole, right? So, Sheryl Raphael Whitaker, welcome to a Black Executive Perspective podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. So excited to be here. Appreciate it. Ooh, that was an introduction.
Cool. So do this for me. Tell us a little bit about where you currently reside and some of your family dynamics.
All right. So I live in New Jersey
Okay.
and yep, but born in Brooklyn, raised out in Eastern Long Island, and my
Okay.
family is Trinidad and Tobago, a thousand
Okay.
percent.
Okay.
Trinidad and
Married,
Tobago. I mean,
Trinidad and
it
Right.
Tobago,
sound
Trinidad and Tobago.
like a sandwich, a
You do
meal,
have
right?
some good sandwiches there for sure. And the dynamics at home, married to my husband Dwayne. We have a dog
Okay.
named Bella. She's about 2 years
Okay.
old. And we
Okay.
live with our mommies,
Oh,
88
that's
and
what's up.
83. 82.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
good.
Well,
That's
God bless.
good.
Yeah.
God is blessing. God is
Yes.
Absolutely.
blessing.
Blessing
That
all
is
of us for
awesome.
sure.
That is great. Well, listen, my
Thank
sister,
you.
as we're excited to dive into this, your book is fantastic. But
Thank
your
you.
background is even more, how should I say, phenomenal. You've done a lot in your career as Chris, and he just really touched the surface of your background.
Yes.
And you're very busy. You're traveling all over the place. You have a thriving family and a dog. And obviously, you got the mother and mother in law with you as well. So, the question I have for you is why did you want to come on a Black Executive Perspective podcast to discuss this topic?
Well, I, to be honest, just really, really inspired and motivated, impressed with the work that you're doing, Tony and Chris. It is really phenomenal. And so I'm always, of course, happy to talk about joy and the book and the work I'm doing. That's important. But the work that you guys are doing is important and inspires me. So that's why I'm here.
Well, listen, and number one, thank you for that. That's awesome. But let's be
Thank
fair
you.
though, too, right? We have a lot of people who don't even know what joy is, okay? And they struggle with
Hmm.
it. So I'm glad you're here to share with them that they can reclaim their joy, and really, no matter what their circumstances, as you talk about in your book. So you ready to talk about it, my sister?
Yes.
All right, let's talk about it. So my girl,
Nice.
I gotta jump in. I gotta go right here, right? Because there was a lot of times people life will throw a lot of things at you. Okay. And a lot of
Yes.
times when we run into adversity, it doesn't most of the time people complain about it and then they move on and that's basically it, right? But with you, when you ran into adversity, it started something, it ignited something, it became the catalyst of something that you put together, right? And you talk about in your book that every leader has a Janet, right? And,
Yes.
and let's just right. And this is the one person that
Oh,
exposes who we are under pressure. Chris and I always talk about, when pressure comes, you'll find out if somebody's a diamond or if they're a pipe. Okay. And
mm,
typically and everybody, a diamond is a lump of coal that's put under a tremendous amount of pressure that
pressure.
becomes a beautiful stone, right? But then a
Mm,
pipe, right? At the end of the day, when pressure is in a pipe busts. All right. And it
yes.
starts spreading all over the place, right? So talk
Yes.
a little bit. Tell us about how that Janet story helped set all this in motion, okay, for you and everything that you've created.
Well, the reason why it's set in motion, my Janet, is because Janet almost broke me. Almost broke me. And I have to go back a little bit because
Mhm.
my mom would tell you that as a baby, I was always extremely joyful. She never knew when I needed changing. She never knew when I was hungry. I was just a happy love lump in that crib. Okay. So happiness and joyfulness was just me, always has been, always will be. And I carry that with me into school, into my work as, when I first got out of college, and then into my leadership. It just became foundational, part of my style, my way of being. And Janet was the first uh, direct leader I had who really tried that she could not stand that in me, is my guess. And it was like her job. She made it her job to try very hard to break that.
And like
And so,
specifically, like what would she do? Give us some examples of how she tried to break you or where you felt broken or close to
yeah,
breaking.
close to broken, close to
Yeah.
broken. Let me find. There were so many different things that happened, but one of the situations was when I first started reporting to her. And I led a team. I had a global team. We were doing some really, really creative, dynamic work in the learning space. And I had graphic designers, all different types of designers and talent, and very protective of my people. And the graphic designer, she did some amazing work, but it wasn't what Janet was looking for, or not what she was looking for that day, that moment, at that exact time. And when we were going over it, she didn't like it. I started to explain to her, this is what you asked for, but I understand and we can make it different. And she started going to town on the graphic designer, said some things that I won't repeat here. And I stood up for that designer. And she looked at me and she said, one of the first things you need to learn and understand about working for me,
Mm.
if I'm tearing someone a new one, your job is to shut up and let me tear, right?
Okay.
She said, because if not, you're next. And first I thought, she's kidding, or this
Right.
lady might be crazy.
Right.
But she was not kidding.
Right. Right.
Because then
Right.
I
Right.
proceeded to say, like, let me just understand what you're saying. Let me explain myself. And she said, clearly, you're not as bright as I thought you were when I hired you. I mean, so it's like, and that kind of energy,
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
Tony
Right. Right. Right.
and Chris, that's what I came up against
Mm-hmm.
on any given day, at any given time.
It's time to rethink your protein. Agilab's protein bars are crafted with high-quality protein, double the leucine, and enriched branched-chain amino acids, essential for optimal muscle recovery. Finally, a protein bar that works as hard as you do. So visit agilabs.com and use the code BEP to get 20% off. That's agilabs.com, promo code BEP.
Let me
there's
ask
no
you
question.
this, though.
There's a question.
Right. Let me ask you this. In retrospect, because sometimes we get older and we reflect and we say, you know what? I have some culpability. Were you a wild stallion that needed to be tamed and broken in Janet's eyes? Were you a
Yeah, that's
rogue
an excellent
agent that
question.
kind of went
Right.
off on your own and
Right.
and
Right.
did your
Right.
own
Right.
thing with good
Yeah.
intentions? With good
Right.
intentions. And she was like, I can't be outdone or overshined by this young whippersnapper. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Was it
Right.
one of those
We're
type of
about the same
situations?
age. So I wasn't a
Okay.
young whippersnapper.
Okay.
And you know what? It's interesting. There are certain people who have personalities where they are attracted to you. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
something about your another person's, personality that they're attracted to, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, they can't stand you for it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We had a difference in height, let's say, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, "Why are you always wearing heels? Aren't
Mm-hmm.
you tall enough?"
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like this thing. But don't get me wrong though, it wasn't just me. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just me. Like this was her personality, this was her
Gotcha.
MO.
Gotcha.
And 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 there were folks who crumbled
Mm-hmm.
underneath her leadership. I still thrived, but
Mm-hmm.
as I talk about in my book, I thrived on the outside and I was getting work done, but on the inside I was struggling big
Let
time.
me. So, and you said something a minute ago that everybody has a Janet. It could be a Paul, right? So, from a male
Yes, it could be a
standpoint, right?
Paul.
So,
Hmm.
so we all have those individuals that we dealt with from a work standpoint. And to Chris's question, sometimes you could look at that person as somebody who sees something in you and they're pushing you for better. Okay, they're pushing you
Yes.
to reach your potential, right? And I've had a couple of those
Hmm.
individuals, right?
Me too.
However,
Me too.
they never insulted me. Okay, they never
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
tried to belittle me or tried to make themselves better than me, right? By fear. And it seems like Janet was really
Mm-hmm.
one of these individuals that tried to rule by fear. Talk a little bit about that if that's correct.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny because that word fear, I often say that fear is false expectations appearing real.
My
But
girl, I
in the
love it.
case,
Mm-hmm.
but in the case of Janet, it was more like a Jurassic Park moment where, objects are closer than they appear.
Right. Right.
But did she want people to be afraid of her?
Yes,
Did
yes,
she
she did.
rule by that? Because some
Did. Yep.
She
people, that's
ruled
the
by
only
that.
way they know, right? Is that
Yes,
they
yes,
feel like if
yes.
they, if you don't fear them, they can't be effective.
Yes, yes. And she was, I would call it like a cleaner, right? Someone who
Mm-hmm.
would come in to, break things down and build them back up and make
Mm-hmm.
it better. But she wasn't very good with the sustainment part of it. And the only way that she knew how to lead, which I talked to her, I tried to actually befriend her
Mm-hmm.
because I figured if she got to know me on a human level, then she would be kinder and not so downright abusive, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked, but she was very, very good at separating, as we say, church from state, right? So she was very good at separating work from the friendship. And when it came to work, she's like, this is how I roll. If you don't like it, try to find someplace else to be. Yes. So threatening, yelling, banging fists, insulting what I had to wear, insulting what I was saying. I would get, during, we didn't have Zoom calls back then, but, it would be on a call and I would get like, instant messages or text messages, slow down, or I don't understand what you're saying. You're jumbling your words, all that kind of stuff it's just how she led. She didn't know any other way.
Now you
She
go
didn't know
ahead,
any other
Chris.
way.
Oh, I was just going to say, you talked about Janet and her militaristic rule. At some point in time, you realize, especially as a nurturer, right? As a woman who's a nurturer, and you said you put the olive branch out and tried to approach this from I'll just befriend her and make her realize I'm not a threat and I'm a comrade and things of that nature.
Yeah.
In the idea of her feeling like she had to be that way, was it a level of insecurity, or because sometimes we get
Oh,
into spaces and then people feel like they feel threatened by excellence, greatness, and they feel like, wait, if this person continues on this trajectory, I'll be reporting to them. So I always have to bring them down. Now, it's just that old adage where you get you get in the review session with your boss, and your boss tells you 17 things you have to do better, and you're like, that none of those things are really applicable, but they can't let you feel like, and what they'll tell you after the fact is, I didn't want to get your head to get too big, or I didn't want you to feel too, I wanted to keep you motivated. And her way
mhm.
of motivation, that motivating through fear, do you think that was something that she had brought with her up the ladder? Because every day can't be demo day. You said she was a person that came in and constructed, right? Or
Yes.
reconstructed. Well, some people get
Yes.
excited about demo day, but then you have to be a creative and build and allow things to flourish. Did she ever get beyond demo day, or was every day demo day?
Well, most days were demo day because
Okay.
we were building something quite extraordinary at the time.
Okay. Okay.
But you do bring up a really a good point. You're making me think that, how we
Mhm.
say to hurt people.
Yes, ma'am.
So there were a lot of things that she was really upset about, and experiences she had with her own direct leader and others above,
Mm,
that she would come and share. But it was ironic because a lot of the things that she talked about and the behavior that she was experiencing was the same thing that she was doing to those who were in her care,
like a child
right?
abused. Yep. Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. At the same time, she abused her boss. She
Really?
abused peers. She abused other leaders. She was
Wow.
abusive. I mean,
Wow.
that was just, and I don't know if she just didn't know any other way to be,
Hmm.
or that I mean, if somebody's working for you, you know what I mean? Like, she was a pretty senior executive, very
Hmm.
senior. So
Hmm.
it worked for her. It worked
Right.
Right.
for her.
Right.
And she was never really held accountable for it until she was, and then she
Right.
was gone.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
here's the
Yeah.
thing, though. So she was, she was the Attila the Hun. Okay, she was,
Yeah.
Joan Crawford. She was,
Oh,
all right. You can.
I have a visual going on right now. That's crazy right now.
I'm thinking all the tough. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
she was horrible, right?
Woo!
And
Right.
she was.
Yes.
Here's the thing, though. This is what I heard, though. I heard you said you thrived under her. You
Hmm.
still brought it every day. Okay. But at the same time, she almost broke you. So
Yes.
talk a little bit, because we have these invisible burdens of being being a black leader.
Hmm.
Okay. We got to be perfect. We got to work twice as hard. We
That's
can't
what my
make
mom
no
always said.
mistakes. We can't make no mistakes, even though
Hmm.
we've been bringing it and hey, you the best and this and that. But you make one mistake, that's it. Or everything's like wiped out, right? You're dealing with
Yeah.
somebody that's abusive, but you're still giving her what she wants. You've tried, like you said, I'm trying to make friends with her. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. That doesn't work, right? But you're still thriving. You're still being productive at work, but it all almost broke you. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and that's such a good thought there. What I mean by it almost broke me. So I have MS, right? Multiple sclerosis. I was
Okay.
diagnosed in 2000. I'm very, very lucky because I can walk, I can talk, I can see. I have full use of my arms and my legs. And you talk about the invisible.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the invisible burdens, Tony and Chris,
Mm-hmm.
that I've
Mm-hmm.
been dealing with for over 25 years now. Well, 25
Mm-hmm.
years. And I've always been able to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that's important to know about multiple sclerosis is that it's an invisible disease, or it can be, and it is exacerbated by stress.
Mm.
And so, yes, I still thrive because I'm an overachiever and a perfectionist by trade. Okay. Um, but what happens is with MS is that everything, especially in that Janet season, in that dark season, everything that I was doing compounded on the inside. So I'm a mama bear when it comes to my team. And when she's coming for my team, I'm protecting them as much as possible. So like body blow, I would take all that in and protect them as much as possible. Next thing you know, I am in meetings and I have a hard time speaking. Right, my voice is shaking, and not because I'm nervous, but because I sometimes, the brain and my motor skills are not connecting.
Mm-hmm.
Or I had a partner in crime, we used to say, and we're in a meeting and we're listening, and I will say to him afterwards, did you get the notes? Can I have your notes? Because what started to happen was my hands started to shake so badly that I couldn't write,
Mm.
couldn't take any notes. I started having problems sleeping, started having anxiety. Like it was to the point where all those different invisible symptoms that can rear their ugly head with my multiple sclerosis started to come out in real time on a daily basis. And if you don't take care of it, it can continue to exacerbate to the point where I could have easily ended up in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
And so my therapist, my neurologist suggested that I see a therapist, not because I was going crazy, although I felt like I was,
Mm-hmm.
um, but because she wanted me to find a way to cope with
Mm.
with working with Janet until I didn't have to work with her anymore. Either I removed myself or she went on to be someplace else. And that therapy saved me. It saved me
Mm-hmm.
because it gave me tools. My doctor gave me tools. She recognized Janet's MO right away. And then she
Mm-hmm.
gave me all the resources I needed in order to be able to literally live with that war zone on a daily basis. So
So they say that people don't quit jobs, they quit bosses, right? And
yeah,
so
that's it.
you chose at that point in time not to quit. Now let's tally up the burden of being female, being black, being of a certain age, and having all of the prerequisite skills and accreditations established, but still not getting your just desserts or your respect in the workplace. Then you pile onto
Hmm.
that, having MS and dealing with that on the clock
Yes.
and off the clock, right?
Yes.
What was it that created a situation where your EQ was so great? Don't give it to the therapist. I'm not giving. You can give it to God. You can give it to whatever you want to. But what was it about you? Was it the island background where you was able to kind of find a happy place? What was it that made you say I can make it through this? Because a lot of people fold. We talked about the pressure situation. A lot of people fold in those things because you honestly had a series of built-in excuses if you so desired.
Not
You
only
had
did, because
every
you had every
man.
reason to cut out. You had every reason to quit. You had
So,
every reason to
so
cuss
what
her
Hmm.
made you
out.
so stubborn? What made you
You
so
had all
stubborn?
those reasons.
Oh, well, my husband will tell you that I'm extremely stubborn.
Okay, there we go. Yeah,
And there
give
was
us
a
that.
part of me, oh, Chris, I love that question. I love that question. There was a part of me that was like, this chick, well, I didn't use that word, but
Yeah,
this
yeah,
chick
yeah, yeah,
This
yeah,
bitch.
cannot, this bitch,
yeah,
literally could not,
yeah.
could not get the best. She can't win.
Can't
She
break me.
cannot get the,
Absolutely.
And you know
cannot
what?
break
But
me.
that's awesome. Go ahead, finish
That
your
is
thought, my sister.
amazing.
And
Yeah.
joy is foundational for me, right? We're going
Yeah.
back around,
Yeah.
right? Going back to
Yeah.
me, right?
Yeah.
Baby in the
Yeah.
crib. Joy is
Yeah.
foundational. And I'm like, now this chick's gonna come and try to destroy me. No, I cannot
Yeah.
let this happen. And also my family is depending on me, you know what I mean? To like
Yeah.
a livelihood,
Yeah.
this is important. And
Right.
I need to work. So
Right.
I got to the point where I was like, okay, so either she's gonna leave, like one of us is gonna go. And
Right.
the way I
Right.
was looking at it, I was like, it is just not, it's not going to be me. You
Right.
underestimate me, right?
Yeah.
I've got these dimples and a happy
Yeah.
disposition. But
Yeah.
what
Yeah. Yeah.
pisses me off more than anything is when people underestimate me. And she
Right.
underestimated me. She underestimated me. So
Let
now
me
I was like,
let
I have
me
to come
ask.
for you.
Well, but here's the thing, though. You said it just a minute ago. I was born as a joyful baby, right?
Right.
And then
Mm-hmm.
you went
Mm-hmm.
back to like, I'm not gonna let this lady break me. So talk about the joy shift method that you created, right? And tell us a little bit. You went from what's the difference between survival mode to soul work.
Oh. Well,
Mhm.
the joy shift method came later, Tony.
Okay.
It
Okay.
came
Okay.
later. It came later. I didn't realize at the time that I was, in a way, creating like a process that could possibly help other leaders deal with the things that I dealt with. Or it's twofold, right? One is helping those who I call the hungry, like knowing that there's joy out there, but they can't figure out how to get it, right? Then you've got those who are dimmed, who it was there, but they've lost it somehow. And then you've got the skeptical who are like, this joy thing is just BS. Right, it's just BS. But I realized as I moved on in my career and finally became a corporate escapee, and when I reflected back, not realizing it was even going to be a book at the time, that you know what, there was a process that I went through personally, dealing with Janet, that maybe could help other individuals, depending upon where they were on the spectrum of joy. Either that or just save the world from future Janets by helping leaders just realize that if joy, you can't lead from this place, then you probably should get out of leadership altogether. And so it's about awareness, it's about acceptance, it's about agency or accountability. And then it's about action, or what I call joy aware, joy embraced, joy committed, and joy in motion. And
Mhm.
it's really really simple, but you have to start with that awareness, right? What I call embracing, because without it, you don't even know that you don't even know you have a problem or
Okay.
something that needs to be taken care of before you can get to any of those other steps.
So this is the thing, though. So I'm going to push back on you a little bit. I know this is your
Please,
life.
I love a
All
pushback.
right. I know this is your
Mhm.
life. And when you said, "Hey, Tony, I created that later," I'll disagree a little bit because
Okay.
you reflect back and you said, "Oh," but when you reflect back, you actually were doing that process,
Mhm.
right?
That's true.
That's how
And
you
I'll give you that.
overcame. That's how you
Mhm.
overcame the circumstances and the situation.
Yes. Yes.
Now you
I love
say,
that.
because without that, you don't have anything to come up with. Okay.
Correct.
So you're
Yes.
using your experience, right, to share with
Yeah.
others today, right? Of what it took, but that's based on what you dealt. You put that together, my sister, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Because
I
you
did.
were the
I did.
cracked. Okay, to be fair,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so
Thank you
we
for
have
that.
to look at that, right? It's because you created. Now you're saying, "Hey, I want to make people aware, and this is the method to do it." Because guess what? Who did it first?
I did it first.
Thank you.
If you like what you hear and want to join us on this journey of making uncomfortable conversations comfortable, please subscribe to a Black Executive Perspective podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hit subscribe now to stay connected for more episodes that challenge, inspire, and lead the change.
Mhm.
You guys are
Makes
fun. You
sense?
guys are fun. Yeah, no, it makes total sense. But you know what? It's interesting, and I'm having like an out of body experience with this book and everything, because when
Mhm.
you've lived something and experienced something, so personal,
Mhm.
and I've never really put words to it and realized that it's something that could help other people until I decided to write this book and realize that the book is truly about transformation, no matter
Mhm.
where you are, in
Mhm.
your career, life, etc. And so I love this conversation because you saying that it's still helping me. I'm still on this journey, so it's a beautiful thing. So thank you for that, Tony.
You were able to formalize it, obviously, like Tony was saying at one point, but there was an inception point where you started to build it. Do you recall when, because I know in your youth you said you had joy, and I always thought that, enthusiasm and youthful exuberance is one thing, but joy is a maturity thing, right? And I always say wisdom comes in retrospect. Like you're never doing something and say,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is so wise that I'm doing this, right? It's when you reflect on it. It's when you take a
You
step back
know?
and be like, damn, that worked out.
I'm so
I made the
wise. I
man.
don't know nobody
Yeah,
said no shit
no,
like that.
nobody's doing
I
that.
always say,
It's
speak up
always in
like Simone
retrospect,
Biles.
right? Exactly. It's
I
always
love
in
that.
retrospect. But do you recall when you felt your maturity turn over and you realize, wait a second, this is not about, because initially you were self-reflective and was thinking, what can I do? It's almost like a battered spouse syndrome. What can I do and how can I fix this? And then at some point in time, there was a shift, and I don't know if that was with the therapist or whatnot, where you said, wait a second, this ain't me. This is bigger than Nino Brown. You know what I'm saying? This is not me. This
Hmm.
is her. This is her problem. This is her situation. And when you can exercise those demons, then you allow for joy to flourish within your own life and in your own dominion of what you can control, because it becomes a serenity prayer, right? So when did you realize
Yes.
that?
I I'm still laughing at what you said. I realized that from the very beginning, as soon as I started working for this person, that it was not me, it was her.
That's good. That's
And then it
good.
became, and it was almost like a war. Like I said, I mean, I started to become intentional and strategic about how I
Hmm.
was going to save my career at that
Okay.
time,
Okay.
and at the same time, like protect my people and protect my peace.
Hmm.
But it was extremely difficult because, I mean, I've had some pretty horrible bosses. Sounds like a
Hmm.
movie, right? There's a book, I think, Horrible
Right.
Bosses,
Right. Right. Right.
right? But this was on a different level. This was like dancing with the devil, right? This was
Right.
the devil wears Prada.
Devil
Right.
Wears Prada. You just, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, she was a million times worse than Glenn Close's character.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, this is on a whole nother level
Hmm.
where I was seeing, grown men cry.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, so this is like, what on earth to do
What?
about
Hold
this,
on. I
right?
got it. But I got it. So hold on. What jobs are you taking, my sister?
Man.
I
You know what I'm
know, I
saying?
know,
When you got
it's
somebody
bad.
cussing somebody, then you got grown men cry. I mean, oh my God.
Grown men crying over this,
Right.
right? And so, Chris, I don't know if I answered your question or not, but it was, I knew like that I was dancing with the devil, and then it was just a matter of how long am I going to dance, and then how am I going to get off the floor, right? Which
Right.
is when I
So
learned
let
to
me ask you
floss.
this, because a lot of times what happens is we end up in situations, especially as colored people of color, we feel like I can do something to help prove to this person I'm worthy of their attention or their love or their adulation or whatever. And so we start having converting conversations. We start having conversion relationships where we're gonna change their ways by loving them
Hmm.
more and embracing them
Oh
harder. When
yes.
did you give up on that? When did you give up on that and be like, you know what, man, she can't be
I
helped.
gave up
I
on,
gotta let go and
yeah.
let God.
Yes,
She
yes.
can't
Oh,
be
yes,
helped.
yes. Yeah, you're like, you're speaking the truth right now, because yes, there was. I mean, I'm a pleaser at heart, right? And
Yep.
so I'm like, I
Yep.
can just get you to love me more, then
Yep.
you'll see the error of your ways, and we
Yep.
can
Yep.
hold hands and go into the sunset and be
Yep. Yep.
happy, right?
Yep.
And when I realized it. There was a day
Okay.
when she came. I was sitting waiting for her in the office, And she came in and she looked at my outfit and she said, What's what's that? And I said, What? She's like, What's with this? And I said, What's this? And she said, What you're wearing. And I said, Oh, and now I had on a denim jacket, right? This is corporate, you know. And I said, Oh, my jacket, I only have it on because I commute into the city. I'm not gonna wear it for that day. And she said, No, your dress. Now I've worn this dress
Oh.
many times. All right. She has complimented this dress many times. Today, she decided to pick on the dress. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, What's wrong with my dress? And she said, You have to remember, as a woman and a female executive, the men that you're working with, you wear a dress like that, there's only one thing they're going to be thinking about. And I said, What's that? And she said, Bending you over.
Oh, okay. All in. Hey, why not? We here now. Let's
And
go all in.
that is when I knew.
Okay.
And she
Oh,
did, and I
dude.
said, Excuse me? And she
Mm-hmm.
said, You heard me. And I said, You've seen me in this dress many times. And she's like, Well, this is the first time I'm seeing you in this dress. And I said, Okay, I get you. I see you. And then that is when I decided, okay, I'm out. And that is when I decided I had to do what needed to be done and find a way to talk to her direct leader. Now, because you know the open door policy and all that stuff, but you know, the open door never always feels quite open.
Right,
No
right,
shade against him, but I was
right.
afraid of if she found out, is it going to be confidential,
Right,
that kind of
right,
thing.
right.
But I knew that I could no longer, you know, I couldn't work in that kind of environment. It was literally hostile at that point, literally
So
hostile.
let's do this. We giving her too much love, okay?
Yeah,
And
we
at the
are.
end of
We
the
are. I
day,
haven't
at
talked
the end of
about
the
her in a
day,
long time.
yeah. So let's do this. I want to make sure because when people hear the word joy, I don't think we have, a lot of times people don't have a proper definition, right? So I would love for you to walk through because you've created several different nomenclatures when it comes to joy. You got joy aware, joy embrace, joy committed, and joy emotion. So let's break them down. When you say joy aware, let's define that. What does joy aware mean?
Joy aware means that you have an awareness, sorry to use the word in definition, but you have an awareness that either you have joy and you want more of it because you've lost some, or you don't have it and you need some, or you are skeptical about it, but you know that there is really something there, and you are tired of letting fear win, and you want joy to win. So you have that awareness. It's like the very first place that you start.
And then joy embrace.
Well, joy embraced, that now is the acceptance. So now you've moved from, hey, I recognize that there's something here that I need to take care of. And now I'm going to embrace joy and find ways to make it a part of my life.
And then joy committed.
Or leadership. Committed, well, that is accountability or agency. So now we are figuring out ways that we are going to move into joy emotion, but it's about making a decision that joy is going to be a part of if we're talking about leadership, part of my leadership style.
And so, what does it look like when a leader is operating in joy and motion?
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. When a leader is moving from that place, first of all, you're not performing anymore. You are being your true authentic self. You don't have the Sunday scaries. You going into into work on a Monday full of like readiness. I know
The
there is actually
Sunday
a company called
scaries, but
that,
it's
Sunday
so true
Scaries.
though, right? Sunday,
It
you know what I'm saying?
is. It is
Saturday is the day you
true.
enjoy, but then Sunday you have a pit in your stomach, like I gotta go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man,
I
so
love that
true.
laughter. there, Tony. I love it. I love it. But you're in a place where you can show up as your best self. And the most important thing about that is that when you show up in that place and you allow your team, those in your care, the people that you work with, the permission to do the same, and then innovation happens,
There's no
creativity
question.
happens,
There's no question.
mistakes happen. You want mistakes, right? you
Correct.
want you
They're
want
not
those
afraid to make a
failures.
mistake. They're not
You're not
afraid to
afraid to
make a
make a
mistake.
mistake.
Right.
Exactly. When I think about like the things that I've done with my team when I led from a place of joy, we just figured things out along the way.
Mhm.
And a lot of those things that we failed at became the foundation for success in the future. And so when you lead from that place, everybody finds their own level of joy, and then they can do so as well.
How
It's a
difficult
good
is it for
thing.
you to train people to recondition their expectations? Because I had a boss famously tell me one time, all work is voluntary. I don't come to pick any of you up in the morning. And so the concept of we go to work to get a check and however the work treats us is based on, us signing back up for that check. Every time we accept a direct deposit or go cash a check, the contract has been
Hmm.
reestablished. How do you make people, or how do you enlighten people to understand they deserve joy? Because a lot of people don't feel like they deserve joy. They just have this job as a means to an end.
Well, guess what? It starts with experiences like what we're doing right now, having a
Mm,
conversation about it in the first place. It's funny because when I started thinking about what is my point of view when it
mhm,
comes to leadership, I first thought about happiness, right? I'm a happy person, I'm a happy
mhm,
leader. And I was going down that road for a minute because I thought joy was too intense. I thought it was too deep. I thought that
mhm,
people weren't going to be ready for that type of conversation. Then I
mhm,
realized, no, it has to be about joy because happiness is fleeting. Happiness is up, down, all around. It's circumstantial. So having this conversation, and then I like to call it a movement, that's why I said it starts with joy. Just having that
mhm,
conversation is a really good place to start because you can say the same thing about life. How you
mhm,
decide to show up in your life, it doesn't matter whether you're, Bill Gates or if you are someone who is, you're just out there working at McDonald's doing fries.
mhm,
Okay, just watched
mhm.
Coming to America the other day, so that's what's sticking in my brain right
Oh
now.
yeah, I do
Right?
fries.
That's true. Is that
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Doesn't matter what you're doing, how you approach that is going to make or break your own personal experience on this planet. I was on a train to Boston the other day, and it was like the tale of two conductors. One who came down the aisle with no joy, and it was very clear. The other one came down the aisle having conversations, humming, you know what I mean? Taking tickets, I mean,
Mhm,
just like his whole demeanor was just
mhm,
completely different. It's the same job. It's the same
mhm,
job. So it's
It's so
about the
true.
conversation, right?
mhm.
It's about the
So number
conversation.
one, I totally agree. I think I love to hear your perspective on it. So, at the end of your book, you close with a line that says, "Joy isn't what happens when everything is easy. It's what keeps you human when leadership is hard," right? And I think not just from a leadership standpoint, as just regular human beings, most people don't even say good morning to you. Okay, when
Mm,
you say good morning, okay, most people don't say
yeah.
thank you or excuse me or
Yeah. Hmm.
you let somebody in, and when it comes to driving, and they don't wave back at you and say hey thank you. None, so it seems like a lot of people are living a life where they're just dealing with what's going on, and they're more cynics, and they're more they're just negative all the
Mhm.
time,
Yeah.
right? And then when they
Yeah.
see you just described it, right? You had one conductor just give me your ticket, all
Mhm.
right, and not recognizing that you guys are his customers, all right.
Mhm.
Right.
Without you guys, he ain't got no job, all right.
Mhm.
But he
Right.
mad at the
Right.
world, right? So just give me your
Mhm.
ticket, right? Versus somebody else just whistling and hey, how you doing and this and that. So how do you help people Recognize, because let's go back to the awareness part, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
today, in a world where everything's divided, people are put in boxes, there's negativity wherever you see. People can't even have a conversation if they disagree. Then all of a sudden they're enemies or they're canceling
I
people out
know.
and all these different things. And then you're saying joy and they're looking at you like, what are you talking about? All right. So how do we
Mm-hmm.
get back to, and you're talking from a leadership standpoint, how do we get back to just that regular, I'm happy I woke up today. I'm happy that I'm chatting with Cheryl and Chris. How do we get back to where we just establishing joy in our own lives, regardless if we have, like I said, Joan Crawford as our boss or not, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first word that comes to my mind listening to you, Tony, is just grace. So giving yourself grace first, and then giving those who you come into, into contact with, the same, giving them the same grace. Starting there, because like you said, everybody just seems to be mad at everything these days. And yes, there are some people who think I'm full of crap. There are some people who think this joy thing is bullshit. And it's okay because for them, you just have to, as Mel Robbins says, you just have to let them. You
Love them
just
where
have
they
you
at.
Yeah.
can't love them where they at. We cannot
Yeah.
solve the world's problem, but I actually say in the book that I'm just looking for like one person at a time, one leader at a time, one conversation at a time, and one will lead to a next that will lead to a next, and so on and so on. And so I just think it's so cool that at this time I'm 59 years old, or 59 years young,
There you
to
go.
be able to finally be at a place in my life where I can like spread a message and have the conversation. But it still comes back to that. It comes back to relating to each other on a human level and just reminding people over and over again. I was in Atlantic City this weekend for John Legend concert, and it was amazing. And getting on the elevator, and this woman yelled, "Hold the elevator!" And I said, and when she got on, I said, "Thank you." You know what I mean? And she looked at me kind of
Right.
like funny, but it's just kind of like you just have to participate. Try to give her grace. Although underneath, I was
Yep. Yep.
frustrated
Yep.
with
Yep.
that. But trying to give her grace. I don't know what her story is. I don't know what she's carrying, and so I'm going to give her grace for that. But at the same time, I'm also going to hold you accountable.
That's fair. That is fair, my sister. So look, let me ask you this. You talked about there's three type of leaders, right? The dim, the hungry, and the skeptical. Talk a little bit
Yes.
about that.
Yeah, so I was mentioning the dim leader is, I think I would love to say that that's where most are. Like somewhere along the way, you just lost it, right? So you've been working, you're working hard, you're getting things done, but times are hard, right? And I'm sorry, got John Legend in my head still. Things are changing. And so you just kind of like, oh my God, you just want to get it back. You just want to get it back. So you're
So
just
they
working
burnt
so
out. They're
hard.
burnt out.
Yeah, you're burnt out. And I mean, I use
Right.
the word burnt out sometimes because I feel like sometimes people think it's like it's an overused word, but it's a real thing,
No, it's real. It's real.
right?
People are burnt
But
out.
it's
Yeah.
it is absolutely real. So that's the dimmed. That's the
Right.
dimmed. The hungry, they perhaps have never really considered the fact that joy should be part of their leadership toolbox. That should be from where they lead, and they want it. They just don't know how to get it,
Mm, mm.
but they want it. And
So they want
perhaps
that. They
from
want the
reading, they
leadership. They
want it.
want to keep moving up the ladder, but they don't really know how to do it. They feel it could be about backstabbing or anything like that to be able to get it done.
No, they want to lead from that place of joy.
Ah,
They
got
want to
it. Got
lead
it.
from that place of joy,
But they don't know
but they
how
just
to do
don't know
it.
how. They don't know
Got it.
how. They don't know
And they
how.
may be
They don't know
afraid
how.
to do it too, right? Depending, especially if they have
Yes.
a Karen or a Paul, right?
Yes, exactly. Right. Yeah. And I mean, and sometimes, we're afraid, especially as Black leaders, let's talk about that, to bring our whole selves to work. And
Mm-hmm.
so, how can I possibly lead from a place of joy if I can't bring my whole self to work? I've always been one of those leaders where I'm too lazy perhaps to separate who I am from who I am at work. It was just like, this is just me.
This is who I am,
And
right?
this is who I am. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, I okay, respectfully, we can part ways. But anyway, so that's the hungry. And then the skeptics, those are the ones who are like, this is probably a bit of hokey, woo woo,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
BS stuff. But at the end of the day, hmm, well, you were successful. So I might lean in a little bit and listen. And perhaps there's some truth to what you're saying, to your approach about how we should lead.
Let me ask you a question that'll entertain me. When
Oh
you
my God,
last
Chris, your
met,
questions.
when you last met one of your people, when you ran into a joy disciple, how did it feel? And tell me about that situation. Tell me when y'all run when worlds collide, George Costanza, right? When worlds collide, when you run
Yes.
into a person that feels it like you feel it, how does that amplify or magnify, or how does that make you feel being on this path?
Oh, so that could actually bring me to tears, to be honest.
Okay. Okay.
It could bring me to tears because joy
Okay.
is something that you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I don't even know if I could describe it, but it's almost like my heart bursting, on the inside, but in the best way, in the best way possible. It's like love that you can touch, I guess, is the only way I could
Wow,
really,
that's deep.
it's the only way I could describe it. Like that, like it's
Okay.
as much as I could touch you if we were in the studio together.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like. And it's really cool because I wrote this book
Mm-hmm.
and figured I can get the message out there.
Mm-hmm.
But reading like the DMs and the text messages and the phone calls and
Mm-hmm.
the reviews, just I never really thought about the impact. It's just what I hoped and prayed for, but I
Mm-hmm.
never realized what it could feel like. And it's overwhelming, or what I like to say is this overflowing for me in the
Mm-hmm.
best way possible. You're not gonna make me cry,
Yeah.
Chris.
No, I'm not. But you had talked about I know that in our day and times and in our normal lives at the grocery store and at the elevator, you run into detractors. You run into people who just have a cloud over them, the slap rocks of the world,
Yes,
right? But
yes.
every now and then, even I have run into somebody and be like, man, that person was full of energy. That person's aura, and I just want to know from a practitioner what it feels like when you tap in and those, auras cross paths and there's a Venn diagram of goodness. When was the last time that happened for you and how did it feel? Because I just want to, kind of draft off of your situation
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
vicariously, right?
it's weird because the last time it happened was, well, oddly enough, I had a book signing, which
Okay.
I just wanted to be like a celebration. I am a very, very, my friends will tell you, and family, I'm a very humble person.
Mm-hmm.
Like attention, this kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing right now, I am like combing my hair. If I had hair, it would be combing in a different direction right now.
Right.
This is
Right.
not, this is, I'm kind of like a behind the scenes kind of person, but I know this
Right.
is important work. And so I'm out here. And so my book signing, I have a really good friend, one of my best friends, who asked me to not make it just a celebration dinner, but to make it a signing so that let us celebrate you for a
Okay.
change. And so I
Okay.
had friends and family and coworkers from my past all come
Yeah.
together, and it
Yeah.
was literally like the love in that room
Yeah.
was magnetic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is like joy personified
Yeah.
right here for me.
Yeah.
I'm still like, like
My girl, I mean, you know
of
what?
that experience.
Here's the thing though. I mean, and I
Yes,
love the
Tony.
question that Chris asked you, right? And your book is something that everyone should read, even if they
Thank you.
are joy personified, right? Because we can never stop acting on it. We can never stop like you said, being aware and being committed, and then more importantly, having joy and motion as a leadership. And not just when I talk about leadership, I'm not even talking about just from a corporate standpoint. I'm talking
Correct.
being a leader at home, right? I'm talking
Correct.
being a
Yep.
leader with
Lead it
your
from every
Community.
seat.
friends,
Absolutely.
community,
Yes.
right? Because
Absolutely.
wherever you
Yes.
go, you can bring joy with you, and you can be aware and committed and all those type things, right? Because as you just talked about with the person in the elevator. So final thoughts, my sister, what do you want to leave with the audience?
Well, wow, you summed it up nicely there, right? Joy is everywhere, and it's up to you to claim it and make it a part of your life. One of the core claims in my book is that if joy is not your chief operating officer, if it is not the CEO, I'm
I
sorry,
love it.
COO,
I
chief
love
Yeah.
it.
operating officer, right? COO, then you lose the right to do what you're calling leadership. And I would just like to say that you really need to find something else to do. If you don't love people, if you can't find that love in your heart and lead from that place, no matter what, I mean, you're talking about corporate, you're talking about in your church, you're talking about in your family. If it's not the central part, if it's not your operating system, then check yourself and find something else to do.
We know that we would take a lot of joy in doing everything that we can to assist you. So I'll ask you, what can a Black Executive Perspective podcast do to help you on this journey and to exalt this calling of yours?
No, well, you're already doing it and inviting me to be part of the conversation, which has been absolutely like a highlight for me. It's been tremendous. Is a really, really great step. I would love for folks to go out there and read It Starts With Joy. It's out there, it's on Amazon. You can find it on itstartswithjoy.com and embrace it. And there's, I even have an assessment, a free assessment you can take. It's on, itstartswithjoy.com, and you take a joy audit and see where are
There we
you,
go.
where are
Joy
you
audit. I love
fitting
it.
Here we
in?
go. I
Yeah.
love that. You know what I'm saying?
Where are you sitting right now? And then of
Right, right.
course, yeah. So, and we can always have a conversation about it. You can find me from itstartswithjoy.com or on LinkedIn or eatinganthonyeelitetalent.com.
Well,
So thank
I'm
you
going
for
to
the
tell you flat out,
conversation.
we're going to put all that up on our website on this
Absolutely.
episode. And we
Thank
ask
you.
everybody to go out. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, or Oopsie the Clown. Okay. At the
Right.
end of the day, we can all use some extra joy. Okay. So
Right.
pick
We
up my
can.
girl's book. Right. And look, we have the holidays coming up too here. Right. So, okay,
Mm,
maybe you are Scrooge, or maybe you are the skeptical. Buy the book for somebody else. Give it a gift to somebody else that you feel that they could utilize this book. Because the one thing I can tell you, once you read it, you won't be skeptical any longer. Okay? You'll start opening up your heart and your mind. And that's the beautiful thing. And we need that today in this world. And so I want to thank my sister, Sheryl Raphael Whitaker, for coming on a Black Executive Perspective podcast and not just sharing her story, but sprinkling us with a lot of joy along the way.
aw, thank you, Tony. Thank you, Chris. You guys are the best. This has been a blast. Appreciate
And
it.
look, we're going to have you come back because we want to hear how everything's going. And
Absolutely.
look, especially
Oh my
when we,
gosh, I would
Absolutely.
absolutely
we
You
come
said
may,
it's a
back.
journey.
yeah. We may need another sprinkling, right?
That's right.
We
That's
may
Hey,
need
right.
another, you know what I'm
anytime you
saying?
need a sprinkle, I'm here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, my sister. So now I think it's
Thank you.
time for,
Tony's Tidbit.
and the tidbit today. Joy isn't the reward for surviving leadership. It is the reason we survive it. Because leadership that costs you your peace is too expensive. And when you finally learn that wholeness is the new strength, you stop leading from depletion and start leading from joy. And you heard a lot of that from our sister, Sheryl Raphael Whitaker.
Absolutely. So at this time in our program, we want to remind you to check out Need to Know with Nasinga. Don't miss this week's episode of Need to Know, a segment by Dr. Nasinga Burton on a Black Executive Perspective podcast, where Dr. Burton dives into timely and crucial topics that shape our community and our world. Tune in and gain unique insights and deepen your understanding on issues that matter. She is so deep, so wide, and so great to listen to. Make sure you check it out this week. You don't want to miss it.
Definitely. And don't forget to check out our next Pull Up, Speak Up, our roundtable. We'll sit down and have bold, unfiltered conversations about the provocative issues that's happening in today's world. There's sharp perspectives, real talk, and a call to action. This is not an episode. This is a revolution. So definitely check out Pull Up, Speak Up here on a Black Executive Perspective podcast.
And then also, we have a call to action. We would be remiss if we didn't remind you to embrace or incorporate less. Our goal here is to eliminate all forms of discrimination. And to achieve this, we're asking you to embrace less, LESS. The L stands for learn. Educate yourself on racial and cultural nuances. Do a joy audit. Learn about something today that could help you tomorrow.
Absolutely. And then after you learn, you have the letter E that stands for empathy. Now, since you've learned about other people and other cultures that you're not familiar with, now you can be more empathetic because you can put yourself in their shoes.
And then the first S stands for share. Share your insights and enlighten others. Don't hide it, divide it, because that's how we grow collectively when we share these things.
Absolutely. And the final S stands for stop. We all want to stop discrimination as it walks in our path. So if Aunt Jenny or Uncle Joe says something that's inappropriate at the Sunday dinner table, instead of sitting back and looking shocked or giggling, say, Aunt Jenny, Uncle Joe, we don't believe that. We don't say that. And you stop it right there. So if everyone can incorporate less, LESS, we'll build a more fair, more understanding world. And we all will see the change that we want to see because less will become more.
This episode was extremely jovial and exciting for me, but check out our other episodes in the catalog. Make sure you go out there and look at the things we're able to do and things that we provide you. Check out the live where you can interact with us Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can get it in with us back and forth, and we learn and love in that regard. Go to the website, sign up for the newsletter, leave us reviews, subscribe. And where can they check us out, Tony?
My friend, you can follow a Black Executive Perspective podcast right here on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on our social channels of LinkedIn, X, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram at a Black Exec. For our fabulous guests, the joyful, beautiful Sheryl Raphael Whitaker. For my co-host with the most, my boy down in Dallas, Chris B. Reed, I'm Tony Tidbit. We talked about it. We learned about it. We laughed about it. We're joyful about it. We love you. And guess what? We're out.
A Black Executive Perspective.